This episode of Casual Friday is brought to you by Lumosity.
You know, it's kind of like wine for people who've given up hope. Okay, so Gears of War, is that the only news that happened this week? The Gears of War went to Microsoft? Well, yeah, to Microsoft.
It's probably the biggest news.
The most noteworthy.
Yeah.
I would say.
It's about a week.
It's been a very slow week, thankfully.
So, anyway, the only, I'm fine with more Gears. I already yammered on about that, but it's so recent. It's like it hasn't gone away enough to miss it. So I don't even, like, is rebooting, I mean, it is rebooting, but...
Is it rebooting or is it just going
Well, if it's in the hands of a new developer...
They bought it for a reason, right? It's gonna get made. It may not be a couple of years. I feel like people need that time to digest it. Especially if they're going in a new direction
judgment
with the
off
story.
into the distance.
Right. But I don't think I would be shocked if the next one was just a full-blown reboot of the story. I would be surprised if it was a
It
full.
would probably be a reboot of the story, I would think, and not much else.
I think it would just be.
I mean,
Gears
maybe
War.
same universe, different. But you think they'll end up doing like the, hey, off on the other side of the old planet, there are these three other big dudes having some time.
Three other bros having some bro time together. These bros were sad. These bros were mad.
Broland.
Yeah, it's the three little pigs.
I feel like they could do that. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much infinite fodder for material.
I mean, I guess, you know, it's like I said, I'm actually really happy to be playing another Gears game because Gears has monsters and I like monsters. But it hasn't gone, you know, it won't be away for that long. And there's like other games I would like to see someone attempt to reinvigorate with life. And
Like Battletoads.
you really want
I really want a Battletoads reboot.
What would like a current gen Battletoads
Awesome. Are you kidding me? It would be so cool.
Look, I mean,
Zitz, Rash, and Pimple, growing those horns, kicking rats in the face.
You've thought about this.
I
a
have
lot.
thought about this
would
a
it
lot.
still be as hard? Could it still be as hard?
Yes. Hardcore. Because it's so cool. I've just thought about, I just really liked Battletoads when I was a
Have you
kid.
written Battletoads fan fiction?
Maybe. They're already naked and have a bunch
I feel like
of leather
Scott has
gear
an
on.
extensive fan fiction portfolio for many games.
So one day, Zitz came into the portal and Rash took off his sunglasses very slowly.
Is this your 50 Shades of Grey remake?
Yes, yes. I was writing, 50 Shades of Grey was Twilight fanfic. I'm doing Battletoads fanfic, and it's
I
going to
look
be
forward to playing that and reading it.
It's going to be erotic. They're going to turn into
that from where you started off.
They're going to turn into bigger balls than they did before. Yep.
Didn't do
Good.
that.
Yep.
With intent.
Yeah.
Okay, back on planet Earth, what would you like to see come back?
I feel like this is kind of similar to Gears of War because it is still very recent. But Mass Effect, I mean, they've sort
Well,
of.
there is one coming. They just won't.
Is it in the same storyline?
No, it's not Shepard.
Yeah, I mean, they can't change that much about the gameplay because it's been around.
They probably
for
should
so
give it
long.
the old college try.
Sure,
a little bit
like,
on the
make some
gameplay.
new mini games and stuff like that. But I mean, as far as shooting goes, there's not
More
much
dancing.
you can do. Dancing?
More dancing. In
More
Mass Effect.
dancing.
Well, I mean,
This should be
I think
more
what they could
games.
do with Mass Effect, I think it's quite feasible now that we saw what that new Dragon Age is supposed to be like, is, look, I love Mass Effect, like, to death, but, you know, when you play it the second time and you get into the combat area, it's like, look at the conveniently shaped rocks or arrangement of boxes. You know,
You start to
something that
notice
starts to
things.
feel a little bit more organic, where you're gonna
And
have to
fresh,
discover like what your environment is.
Yeah, that would be nice, actually. Especially since people threw such a fit about the previous game.
About 3?
Well, about the ending.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say they only threw a fit about the ending.
I know, but I feel like people are so sour from that still, they'd have to go in a
You know
completely
what? I
new
still think
direction.
that's a bunch of people that just don't understand things.
Let's talk about that instead.
About people who don't understand things?
You want to just go poke that one in the eye? That one just still irritates me no end. It's,
Yeah. What about you?
Okay, the game I really want to see. I think this should be feasible because like Titanfall is going to come out and it looks like it's going to do really, really well. I want Monolith to reboot Shogo, Mobile Armor Division.
Okay.
And I probably am fond of this because, okay, so when I started out, I had like consoles I borrowed from friends. I didn't have a PC, and so I finally got a PC. When I got a PC, that was the game I wanted because it was one of the first games we covered on GameSpot TV. It's giant Max. but they're kind of more along the lines of like the Macross Valkyries.
Right.
And you play it from first person, and it's like everything I wanted when I was 10 was happening in front of the screen, except for AI. They kind of forgot that part of game design. And, you know, there's like the Pacific Rim and the Titanfall, and I think it would be great to have that.
Yeah, it's tough to say because you always are inclined to think of franchises that you really loved as a kid, but then when you think about an actual reboot and what that would be like I love Streets of Rage. I don't want a Streets of Rage reboot.
Yeah.
That would be terrible.
Right. I mean, I loved, because I had Stockholm Syndrome and would just play whatever was given to me, I loved Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I don't want a reboot of that game.
Okay.
That game was terrible.
How about one that may be better to argue? A reboot, a Banjo-Kazooie, and one that doesn't involve driving.
Okay.
Yes. No, that's awesome. That would be great.
But then there's going to be one guy who was super into the driving and is really pissed that they took it out.
Well,
I'll talk to Ken Lobb later, okay?
He's nuts and bolts. But no, I think that's a really good point because we haven't seen any awesome platformers in forever.
Especially the open world platform. I mean, like the 2D, or the 2.5D is like all out there.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to make a game like that now and have it be, AAA.
Or successful.
Or successful, that's a big one. But yeah, no, excellent point, Banjo-Kazooie.
That is the thing that worries me, that, with everyone being so cost conscious, it's like, hold on, that gets so close to the realm of cute that we're going to confuse all the 12-year-olds that want to pretend they're 18 and need to have the blood and the anger on the cover of their game thing because that makes them hard.
Right.
Makes them hard.
I know, and that's my thing as a 34-year-old man. I'm like, can we change the color palette for the next generation? Can we actually use an entirely different spectrum than brown and rust?
Smiles. I mean, it's like, and
well, I mean, when we saw Sunset Overdrive at E3, I was like, bright colors! Wow!
And when you think about the sensibility of Insomniac, especially with Ratchet and Clank, that I mean, that has some of the great animations, like to understand the sense of the elastic that's supposed to be in a cartoon.
The squash and stretch.
Yeah, and
get it.
Okay, now I'm excited for something.
You know what I want? A new Earthworm Jim.
Yes. I want a
Earthworm Jim 3D was just like that was the day.
No, I want a 2D Earthworm Jim.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
That was the most horrible game in the world.
3D, please.
I want them to actually go back and take the original animation from the first one because they did a lot of drawing for that game, and I would love. It's got to be somewhere, in a garbage bin somewhere in some office, and if they could dig that out and scan those drawings and make and just remake Earthworm Jim using the actual.
The second version had really good.
Yeah, I finished it. Oh, I
Hard
finished
one.
Oh yeah, I finished that game. I loved that game.
No, it's an excellent game.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites from Genesis.
I mean, it's almost sounding like, hey, it would be nice to have platformers back in kind of a prominent way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like.
That's good.
Because what I wanted as a kid, and what we're finally starting to get now with platformers is I would go to the arcade and I would play things like Dragon's Lair, and I'd be like, whoa, man.
You want to play a cartoon?
One day I want to play a cartoon.
I'm with you.
We're finally there, and we just need to get over this hurdle, this indie hurdle of wanting to make everything look like it's 8-bit because we have the ability to make it look like a fully animated
get lost
cartoon.
in the logic of a
like
cartoon
Rayman.
World.
Like Rayman.
I want more.
Rayman. I want more games to look like.
Rayman has a huge team working on it, though. I mean,
But if they go back to like
games.
Rayman 2 and Rayman 3, where it's that fully fleshed out.
You're
3D
right.
world.
It wasn't 8-bit, but it was still. It was very
2D,
simple.
Yeah.
You loved
But
Rayman
beautiful.
3.
Oh, Rayman 3, but Rayman 2, The Great Escape.
Yeah.
That's just all I want in a game because it was just strange, malevolent, but it had a person without limbs. And you know what? That probably is as close to self-identification as I can get.
It's true. I just noticed there's a whole bunch of dust at the bottom of my glass. I've been drinking garbage and mud this whole time.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Especially
Happy
for
birthday,
you.
Scott.
Oh, thanks,
Happy
everybody.
birthday.
I'm aging myself out of the demo. That was a fun, sexy time talking about old video games that should rebooted. I hope you guys had fun. I sure did. Now let's take a moment to talk about our sponsor, Lumosity. Lumosity makes brain training easy with fun and games based on neuroscience. They can help make any brain better by enhancing memory and attention. You can build custom training programs and get stats and summaries to track your progress and see where you need to improve. over 40 million users have already experienced Lumosity's brain training, so go try it for yourself. You can get instant access and help support Rev3 games at the same time by signing up at lumosity.com/Rev3games.